Hello, and welcome to the 5 Core Life podcast with Will Moore, founder of More Momentum. If you're not already, go ahead and pound that subscribe button so you get notified when episodes air every week. On today's episode of the 5 Core Life, host Will Moore sits down with Taylor Rochestie, professional basketball player and happiness expert. Taylor shares how you can be happy and the keys to becoming happier in your life. You'll also learn about how to get in the zone in sports and stay there, or some like to call it flow. So to cap it all off, you'll learn the true definition of success. A little bit more about Taylor Rochestie. He is a professional athlete who's traveled the world playing basketball for 12 years. Taylor's also an author, speaker, husband, and father, having lived in 12 countries, immersing himself in local cultures and learning about the diversity of life's truths has become a passion of his. Using a positive filter to all that he encounters, Taylor is unwavering in optimism, empowered with a purposeful voice to inspire positivity and happiness. His new book, A New 2020 Vision, is a roadmap on finding your happiness in spite of all that happened in 2020 and serves as an inspiration to create positive change in yourself and the world. Are you ready to fire on all cylinders? If so, let's go! Everyone has the same 5 core areas of their life that ultimately determine how happy they'll be. Unfortunately, most of us have developed failure habits in each, and it's Will Moore's mission to help replace those with success habits to maximize momentum. After exiting his business for a combined 9-figure sum, Will learned it's not just about becoming an entrepreneur of your career, but an entrepreneur of the most important business you'll ever run, your life. And to crush it in your life requires firing on all cylinders in your 5 cores by continually taking action, building habits, and maintaining balance in each.
There he is. What's up, man?
How you doing, man? Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey, yeah, super excited to have you. So for multiple reasons. Number one, I love what you're doing. You kind of took the road that at one point in my life, when we're all kids and we're like, oh, wouldn't it be neat to be that? I always wanted to be a basketball player. And I played I was a late bloomer. So I actually didn't even make my team in high school until senior year. And then went on and I just have always played with my friends. I still try to get out and play, although with COVID, it's tough. So I'm super excited to have you and hear about some of your experiences as a professional basketball player. But now also you are pivoting into, you can't play basketball forever. And fortunately, it sounds like you've discovered some secrets to the universe and some things that you are helping people to understand, like, this is what life is about and this is what makes you happy. You've got a book. It's called A New 2020 Vision, where the description is, I'll read it here so people understand what it's about: an inspired roadmap for creating sustainable happiness. You boldly illustrate the ability to always have perspective, find joy in all aspects of life by adopting this innovative, positive filter, redefining kind of what the world is. I love that, because I'm always talking about the importance of perception, mindset, which is the number one first core. There's these 5 areas, as you know, that I like to help people with. And the mindset, that first one, it's all about your perception. If your mind isn't working for instead of against you, you're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble. So welcome, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, man. Well, first and foremost, Tom Brady just won the Super Bowl and the MVP. So I hope I can keep this thing going for as long as he's doing it. So this
right?
Peter Pan lifestyle is pretty incredible. And like you, I kind of had that vision that I wanted to play basketball. And even in 6th grade, I was telling people I wanted to play in Europe, and I didn't even know they had leagues. I just knew I wanted to travel the world and see a lot of things and continue the game that I love. So I've been extremely blessed to keep playing. And like I said, it's that Peter Pan lifestyle. I had the same dream, and I'm still living it. I'm still kind of pinching myself, trying to figure out when I'm going to wake up and have to go back to reality.
Love it. We're getting a teeny bit of reverb. I want to make sure that, do you have us just on one audio, or are there multiple things that could potentially be open where we're hearing like an echo?
I think I got you on one. Is that better?
Yes, that seems better.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, perfect.
We'll love that. So I got a bunch of questions for you. Let's get right into excuse me. I'm in Chicago. It's been like negative 80 degrees for the past like 3 weeks. I'm surprised that our town hasn't frozen. We literally got like 2 inches of or 2 feet of snow the other day. It's insane. So apologize. I might be coughing and sneezing. It's finally hit me.
All good. I just had one of my best friends in Houston pick up my mom because she lost all her electricity. Everything went out all down the block and all down the area, and everybody's kind of dealing with that right now. They're not really ready for that snow over down there.
Right. I can't complain because we have our power. These poor people that their power's going out in this cold. I read this morning. I mean, the poor animals and stuff at zoos, they're dying. Like it's very sad. I mean, this is just insane. And for all those naysayers who said, "See, global warming isn't real," this is because of global warming, people. I hate to break it to you. This is a result. And I don't know where you stand on that, Taylor, but I had to get that out. So, okay. So, let's get into it. I'm going to talk about some of the places that so high school, Santa Barbara, leading scorer in the history of the team. Tell us a little bit about that and how cool that felt.
Well, I think that's one of those stories that gets better every year. I don't know if I was the leading scorer, like the second leading scorer, but at this point now I'm the leading scorer by so far. So things have really gone well for me there. But Santa Barbara
it's on
High
Wikipedia,
School,
so it must be true. It says you're the leading scorer in school history.
Absolutely. Up on the wall, you have Don Wilkes. Don Ford and Jamal Wilkes. There's the combination of the two. So there's been a couple great players, a lot of great players that have come through Santa Barbara. We've always had great soccer teams, water polo teams. Our baseball team's pretty good. And, the years I was there, we were fortunate to have a good basketball team. But Santa Barbara High School is an amazing place to go. Santa Barbara is an amazing place to live. But not many people are trying to come out and play basketball from there. So it's a unique place for that standpoint. It's a tough place because if you're a good player, you can kind of get tagged early on, freshman, sophomore year. And so it really takes that inner motivation and that inner desire, because a lot of people, once you're told you're pretty good, you're not really going to keep pushing. And so the interesting thing is I had a lot of great people around me, great coaches, great teammates, and we really kind of pushed ourselves to get better and better. And we had dreams beyond playing college, even to be a pro. So Santa Barbara was a great place and a great time.
Nice, man. Yeah, and then Tulane, 2004, then to Washington State. Then you went undrafted in the NBA in 2009. Let's talk about that for a second. So, now that you are where you are and you've got this happiness filter and you see things, did you have that back then? And did you handle it well? And we're able to bounce back, and we'll talk after this where you were able to pivot to, which was great. Or was that like a crushing thing to you?
I think it started even before that. When I went to Tulane University, it was because I didn't really have any options. I was so thankful to go to Tulane, and I couldn't have been more excited to go. And I wasn't given any Division I scholarships out of high school, so I was kind of that underdog and created that underdog mentality. The second day of my sophomore year at Tulane was Hurricane Katrina. And so that displaced me, and that put me at Texas A&M, still playing for Tulane, but they hosted us as a basketball team, which was amazing. And then I tore my knee and realized that I needed a new place to go. The facilities in New Orleans were just devastated. And so I chose Washington State based on the coach and some other things, and they kind of gave me a second chance. And when I showed up there, I was definitely not ready to go with a torn knee. And so there's something I call soul communication. And I really started with that. And it was that talk that you have in the mirror, that inner monologue that's going on. And I like to say that even when I'm at my worst, I can envision myself at my best. And kind of that's where it started. And I was just like, hey, this is what I want for my life. This is what I want for my career. My story is not going to be 2 knee surgeries or Hurricane Katrina or being undrafted. My story is going to be going to back-to-back NCAA tournaments, having a full arena at Washington State, and being one of the top ranked teams in the country. And so we talked about it as a team from the first day I got there, and it came to fruition as a senior.
Wow. Well, that's I didn't know you tore your knee. So it was the ACL?
It was a lot of other things, but there was a little hole in the back of my kneecap. And the terrible thing about it is every time one of these pros takes a look at my eye, they're skeptical about if I play. And I was told about 15 years ago that I could play for another 6 months or 6 years. they didn't know. And that was 15 years ago, and I'm still going, and I haven't missed a practice or a game because of my knee. So I'm so thankful and blessed every day because of that.
Tom Brady, let's go, baby. I know. So he's Tom Brady. I'm 44. He's I think he's 43. And right, I mean, I love it, right? Because I'm like, I'm still out there. I'm playing. I don't think I could be at the professional status. I never got to that status. Who knows? But it's great to see that, and I'm sure as a professional athlete as yourself as well. I won't ask you how old you are, but I assume you're under 43.
Yeah, I'm still under 43, but Tom Brady looks younger than me, man. He's doing well.
Yeah, he's killing it. Okay, so then let's talk about. So then you played Germany 2009, 2010, then Turkey, then Germany, back to Germany, then France, then Spain, then Italy, then Russia, then Serbia, then China, then Greece, and now you're in Israel. Is that right?
I'm tired just hearing you say that, man.
That's what I went through, and I looked at each place you played, and I made that little list. And that's, to me, that's really cool because, I mean, how many opportunities do you get to travel the world that way and see all these amazing places? So, and are you now, who are you playing for now?
I'm playing for a team in Israel, but my story just is crazier and crazier every year. I ended up, my third year, you mentioned I was playing in France. That's where I met my wife. So my second home and half my family is here in France. And because Israel has a shut down border and they're going through some pretty intense and pretty progressive vaccinations and things like that, I got a permission to get out of the country, and I joined my family right now in France, and I'm waiting to get back into Israel. And so, yeah, because of all the places that I've been, I've had a unique experience and a unique ability to meet so many people and even meet my wife, and now it's a place that I call home.
Love it, man. So, and and have you been all over France? What's your favorite part of France?
Well, I got to say my favorite part is Le Mans. I mean, that's the city that I'm in. That's the city my wife is from. That's where I got married. The coolest thing about getting married out here is all my friends and family got to come out and see the place. And so now when I walk around the city, I can have memories and see images of all the people that have been out here, and creating more and more memories now. And this is where we have a home now, and spend time. And it's just been a blessing.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. There's this, stigma that the French don't like the Americans. Have you found that to be true, or how's that played out? Obviously, you married one, so that's not wholly true, but in general.
That's one of the things I kept talking to my wife about when we first met. I was like, you guys know you're not that friendly, right? And so she didn't really love the stigma. And then sometimes when we're in Paris, we'll be talking English to each other, and she'll see the difference that the Parisians or people that are serving us or at a restaurant, she'll see the difference of the way they act when we're speaking English or when she answers back in French. So she gets to see it all. And sometimes when we're traveling, I pretend not to be American. Sometimes she pretends not to be French. So we both have pluses and minuses. It depends on where we go.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, my wife and I used to play this game when we first met. We actually met in Miami, Florida. Neither of us are from there. And we were at dinner one night, and we were playing this game, European or not European. So you guys do it the opposite. You actually switch who you are. We were just trying to guess, are those people European or not European? Based on the way they walked, based on the way they dressed. We couldn't hear any words, right? And it was kind of a fun little game, and then some you never knew. Some, they would stop and talk to somebody and be like, oh, European, or no, American. So let me ask you this. What, in terms of when you were traveling, like how has all the traveling affected your happiness for better or for worse?
I think it's definitely for the better. It just gives you this massive perspective on everything. You got to rewind back and realize that I'm so fortunate and blessed. I had an incredible childhood. I have incredible parents, amazing brother. I'm from Santa Barbara, California. So I always had that idea that if things don't work out, going back home is an amazing blessing. So I'm going to enjoy and appreciate everywhere that I can go and all the experiences that I can have. And I've always wanted to be a basketball player. So in the book, I talk about experiencing truths, the idea that a kid in Germany is going to learn something different than a kid in France, and the same thing with a kid in America. And so when you get to go around, not just as a tourist, but live in these different places, you realize that we have so many similarities and so many differences, but we all have our truths and we all have our experiences, and we need to learn to communicate with each other better, communicate with ourselves better in order to, form better relationships, understand each other more, and just cut out things like ignorance and things like hate. And so it's just been a blessing to go around the world and experience this.
Well said. Yeah, I mean, right. I feel like if everybody could have a similar experience as you, the stereotypes, the prejudice, the hatred would just go away. It's like we're all humans.
It's wild. I gotta be out in Russia. Just one example, and during the Olympics when it was out there, and all my American friends and family are saying, "Man, this Olympics just looks terrible," and heard there's bad this and bad that, and that's what we're learning in America. And then all around Europe and all of Russia, they're talking about how it's the most successful Olympics to date, and it's just incredible, and all the athletes are loving it. And so you got to realize that whatever news we're watching, they're watching their own style of news, and it's interesting to say what they have to say about us. And it's just great to learn to form your own opinion, really create authenticity through authentic thought instead of just kind of going along with the news or what people are telling you.
I love that. And right. And so out of all the places that you've been in the world, obviously you mentioned France is one of your favorites. I mean, are there places in particular that you felt like the people were more kind of anti-outsiders and versus ones that are more accepting of outsiders and more welcoming?
That's the interesting thing is I show up under pretty great pretenses, where I'm showing up playing for a basketball team, usually living in the area of my team, getting to know people and being with general managers or people that are involved with my team, and really getting to know people that either love basketball, love sports, are used to being around international people or Americans. So my experience is pretty privileged. But at the same time, because I've traveled a lot, I really try to understand their customs, learn about their culture, relate to them on all sorts of levels. So I don't think I have that typical experience like I did when I was 19 backpacking with my friends, and we were just the six loud Americans in the bar. Right. I think in this perspective, it's a little different, and I do my best to just reach out to everybody and get to know them as well. So I've had good experiences.
That's the attitude you have to have, and if you go in with that type of attitude of we all see things slightly differently, but I want to see how you're seeing them, then that kind of magically walls go down, and then they tend to do the same, and then that's how relationships get formed.
For sure.
Okay, so continuing your career, so you played all those places. You got the EuroLeague Scorer Trophy in 2015. Is that right? So you're a scorer. What's your gig, man? Are you a drive to the basket? Are you a 3-point shooter? Are you a foul line, stop and shoot? What are you?
Wow. Okay. I'm going to give away my scouting report here. I definitely like to shoot the three. I was fortunate that year, especially to be a top scorer, because not only does the team have to win and advance, you have to have a good team in order to be qualified for that trophy. But you got to have good chemistry, and you have to have trust, from your teammates and from your coaches. So we had one of those teams that was just kind of perfect. I just happened to be the scorer on that team. We had a couple other great players, great scorers. I was just shooting the ball really efficiently and playing with a lot of confidence. So I wasn't shooting the ball all that much. I just, for some reason that year, just everything was going in. And we had a great offensive scheme, and I got to say thanks to my coach for that. But I like to shoot the three. People say I'm shifty or crafty or other words that they like to use for a smaller point guard. And just try to use a lot of fakes and a lot of change of pace. That's basically my style of game. And I guess that's the same thing in life. Just kind of keep changing pace and keep things interesting, and just keep flowing and see where the game goes.
I love it. Yeah. So, we talk about flow. You've heard about the term flow. I mean, I use the word momentum. It's kind of the same thing. Like, you said you got your confidence was up, and you were just shooting really well. I mean, how as a professional athlete, we all experience that playing sports where it's like one day do you play golf, by the way? Have you ever
Yeah.
played?
Yeah.
Okay, so you definitely know what I'm talking about here with this. So you're not a pro golfer. So it's like one day you're like, I got it. I got it figured out. Like, we're good. I'm on my way. Here we go, senior tour. And then the next day, it's like you've never picked up a club before. So, it's like getting into that flow and that state in sports. Like, do you have a particular way that you're able to get into that to where, you've got that momentum? It sounded like you had a good team. And was it a team effort? Was it an individual thing? How do you do that?
I mean, the mantra that I basically use is when I know who I am, I'm never stressed about what I do. And so that comes from a perspective standpoint of I come to the game every game with this just love for the game and realization that it could be taken away from me tomorrow. It could be taken away from me today. I've been blessed to have this career that I've had so far. A lot of people haven't been blessed in that way. So really, wins and losses or making a shot, missing a shot, that's totally different than real life. So I'm going in there with the perspective of that and a positive attitude every time and just trying to go enjoy the game that I love.
That's great. That's a good answer. And so, and do you find when, if it starts going the other way, if you start missing shots that, that you're able to pull out of that pretty easily, or is it something where you're like, okay, this game is shot. I'm not shooting well today?
I have an extremely, extremely positive energy and attitude. The players that are with me are probably like, hey man, things are not going good. We're down 55 points. Relax, it's over. But I just kind of keep it positive and keep it moving. And that comes with the good and the bad. So it's just never getting too high, never getting too low, and realizing that yesterday or the last shot is not going to make the next shot. So even if I'm 6 for 6, that doesn't mean that I'm going to make the game winner, and then I might go home devastated. So I've had a first half in China where I was, I think, 1 for 14 in the first half, which is insane amount of shots when you're in Europe. But when you're in China, the Americans are shooting the ball a lot. And the GM came to the coach and said, just get him out of there and get him ready for the next game. And the coach said, no, he'll be okay. And I came back, and I think I was 13 for 14 in the second half and had the most incredible game that I can remember as far as points wise. And it is what it is. It's just not gonna help me thinking, hey, I played really good yesterday. I like your idea about golf. It's the funniest thing is like, hey, I was putting so well yesterday. What happened today? Well, that's just part of life. So you just got to keep moving. Momentum.
That's it, man. I love that. Yeah. Well, good for you. Right. A lot of people, I think, will go into that dark place and be like, get frustrated at themselves, and then it's a spiral effect, right? But if you're able to, this goes to your book and everything you're about, keep that positivity and just say, because nobody's perfect, you're going to miss shots. It's a numbers game. And just like gambling, you might hit red 18 times in a row, but not hit red for the next 15 times. It's like, you just never know how it's going to play out. You can't control it. All you can do is have the attitude of, I know what I'm doing. I know I'm good at this, and I'm gonna get back in it. And sounds like you're good at that. So that's
I love your metaphor. And if my brother ends up watching this, he knows that I just bet the Red River if I'm doing roulette. So that was a good metaphor. I'm going red every time, and people are like, "Hey, it was red 5 times in a row." I'm like, "Yeah, it could be red 6 times in a row."
Could be red
that's
6.
Kind of
could be red
positive
7.
energy.
That's it, man. That's it. Okay, so let's talk about some of your habits. As you know, habits are a big part of what I'm about, and it sounds like whether you use that term or not, that they're a big part of your life in terms of the habits that you've developed, such as I would consider having a good positive mindset, having seeing the glasses half full versus half empty, like it sounds like you do, seeing your lens through rose colored whatnot, is a habit. It's not like because you can choose to do that, or you can choose to do the opposite. And so many of us, we all start out naked, full of wonder, right? And it's like, then things get in the way in life. And sometimes people's journey takes them to where their perception and the way that they see things is not so rosy. Did you always have this perception? Before we get into the habits, let me ask you this. Did you always have this perception of being positive, or is this something that developed?
I think I've always been a really, really positive person. People will have to fact check me on that, and you can ask some family members and my wife, but I think I've always been an extremely positive person. And I think that getting into habits, I think that it starts with what I like to call a morning intake. And so to start the morning internal and let the internal affect the external, instead of the other way around. And what that means is not starting the day by reaching for your phone. The phone can tell you 1,000 things about you and kind of dictate your emotion and who you are before you even put your feet on the ground. And
Mm-hmm.
so you can check the stocks and see that it's going to be a bad day in the stock market, or check the weather and then get bummed out that it's gloomy, or see that you only got 10 likes on your Instagram, or somebody didn't text you back, and you haven't even gotten in tune with yourself, haven't even stretched or figured out, how your body's feeling from waking up, and you're already affected on how the day is going to go. And so creating that morning habit where you can just wake up and say, how am I doing, before how the world's doing? And because the world can affect you really, really fast. And so if you start that habit early and start affecting yourself fast, then it's your choice, and you can choose kind of how to navigate your day and then what's going to affect you. And then you're more prepared to take on whatever the phone does tell you.
I love that. That's a great great take on it. And it is so true, especially did you watch that documentary, The Social Dilemma, by chance on Netflix?
I just downloaded it and I'm going to watch it.
You gotta watch it. It ties into what you're just talking about, because our devices, then it'll start, there's these companies, a lot of them are selling our attention. It is what it is. That is their business model. They've got a fiduciary responsibility to the shareholders to sell our
Yeah.
attention at any cost, and they're getting better at figuring out what we see. Even if you might click on something, maybe you're having a bad day that's negative, and they kind of take it to the extreme in the documentary. It's cool how they do it to show you how it can easily happen. And then all of a sudden you
And
start seeing more of that and more of that. And then all of a sudden your mindset starts, the first thing you're looking at is all this bad, negative stuff, and you're starting off your day on the wrong foot.
one of the most incredible things about writing this book and then coming out with this book, which I never could have foreseen, is that I started to follow a lot more people that were in the same type of lane, as I am, as far as what I'm talking about, you being one of them. And just now I'm surrounded by all my feeds with this positive energy that's just shooting at me. And it's almost impossible to go through the day without having some type of positivity go across my screen. And I think that's something that people need to understand, that they can be active in their own positivity. And sometimes they think being happy is just like a reaction to life, but you can proactively put it around you, all the time. And so now my news feed is just like crazy positive. It's one of the best things about my day. So if I ever do open my phone, it's usually the first thing I see.
I tell people that at the same time. It's like a life hack that I kind of figured out a while ago, which is I actually use Flipboard now mainly, versus Apple News, because you can customize very clearly. You can literally tell it what you want to see. So you pick topics, and you can pick happiness, wellness, if you like to play video games, or harmless things that are fun to
Yeah.
read about that you enjoy, or are passionate about, art, photography, versus Donald Trump's what he did today. And it's like, you don't, that's not, it's not, that's not doing anybody any good, other than it's that looky loo in us, right? It's that, ooh,
Yep.
I'm curious, right? But what is that doing for you, other than 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up either being like, good, he got what, or, whoever it is, he got what he deserves, or, oh, that's BS. He's getting away with murder, and like neither are good for your soul or for your happiness, because you're focusing on the wrong things. Like you said, you're focusing on external stuff versus you and what makes you happy. So I like your take on that.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting where it leads you to, right? So it's like you got some negative things on there, and then you click on that and you click on the next thing, and it leads to the next thing. And then it just all of a sudden you're angry. You're like, I don't even know how I got to this page. And then you click on a positive thing, and all of a sudden 10 minutes later, you learn something about yourself, and you write something in a journal, and you get motivated to start a company. I just think that's the power of the different directions and how positivity can affect your life.
Yeah, totally. Totally, man. Okay, so that's a good one. And then is there any other part of your morning routine that you want to share? I assume it doesn't stop there.
Then it's definitely checking in with my wife and trying to figure out what I can do for her. So
Nice.
we have two young kids, and I've heard a lot of people talk about how important it is to check in with other people too. I talk about group happiness, and so much of my happiness rests in the happiness of others, and they rely on me, I rely on them. We use each other, hold each other accountable. Really expect the best out of each other, raise each other to our highest levels, and just try to be authentic. Part of my morning routine is realizing that my daughter is a sponge and she's going to learn from me and see me. And so how am I going to greet her in the morning? How am I going to start my day? What is that going to look like? What type of habits and routines are they going to pick up just by watching me as a dad and by being around me? And so what type of energy am I starting the day with? And, how am I affecting the people around me?
Nice. Nice. Right. I mean, relationships, it's everything. And when you got kids, it's amazing how our ego goes out the window when you have kids, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's not about us anymore. It's about them. And it's like, oh my God, I just want them to be the happiest little creatures on the planet. And how can I make sure that happens? And unfortunately, again, it goes back to, there's the system, the society we're living, regardless of what country you're in. Some countries are better than others, but there's these major influencers. First it's your parents, then it's your peers, then it's school, then it's like media, and all these things affect your perspective, your perception on life, and how you see the world. And not everybody's fortunate to have a parent like you, that is aware, like, I need to be careful of the things that I'm doing. I need to set the right example so that they'll continue to their little happiness journey, and then it doesn't start going downhill. Because when you're super young, everybody's, like I was saying earlier, wonder, happiness, what does the world hold today? What is the most fun I can get into today? And then that, for a lot of people, that just trickles away. So it's good to see that you still have it and that you're teaching your kids. So hopefully they'll pay it forward as well.
For sure. You brought up an amazing point too, that, younger kids, they see the world in a different way. And I've always asked, what has being a parent taught you? And it's taught me so much about just go back and live life through the kid's eyes and just be excited, be curious. I talk in the book about creating firsts. One of the reasons why kids have so much fun is they're always doing something for the first time. It's just a first kiss, the first time they see an elephant or whatever it might be. And then we have less first, and then we get more routine as we get older. And we're like, okay, I'm going to work again. I pick up my coffee from the same coffee place, and just driving a different way to work or going to a new coffee place or wearing a green t-shirt or buying a green t-shirt because you've never owned one before creates that energy and creates some type of spark that, creates more happiness in your life.
Yeah, man. I love that. Yeah, it's about just finding those pieces in life, right? They're all around us, and it's choosing to focus on them versus the bad stuff. I mean, honestly, that's like 90% of it, because when you can get that, like the mindset, that being the number one. And I always talk about a fixed victim versus a growth owner. We won't go too much into it, but bottom line is, the gist is you're either looking at life as, oh, poor me, I was born this way, my brain's broken, there's not much I can do about it. Maybe I'll hit the lottery someday, or if only I could have this, if only I could have that, then I'd be happy, right? Versus the growth owner says, okay, dude, I got strengths, I got weaknesses, just like everybody else. I'm going to outsource those weaknesses, find workarounds. I'm not going to focus on those, focus on my strengths, my passions, and I'm going to put those together, and I'm just going to keep moving forward and give fear the finger, fail forward, and, obstacles, temporary roadblocks, waiting for solutions. And that's it. And then when you have that, everything else just kind of falls into place. Then it's like your physical health, your relationships, all these things become incrementally easier. The friction's reduced because, you've got this mindset that's kind of helping to ease that momentum, so to speak, to be able to build that in these other areas as well.
Man, that's so true. That victimization is massive. And I'm so lucky because my mom and dad both taught me when I was younger, my brother and I, that said, when everything's happening, who's always the person in the room? And so, you're the common denominator with all the things that are happening. And it's so easy to point fingers. And in my career alone, it's been so easy to point fingers at this coach or that thing. And that's the reason why I'm not here or whatever it might be. And I'm here. What can I do about it? What can I do to make today better and tomorrow the best day? So I love what you're saying.
Right on, brother. Yeah. And I love that you're getting it. And it seems like, yeah, you're living your life that way as well. So next question I have for you, if you could offer one life hack, what would it be? In regards to, let's look at it this way. Assuming that our brains are basically like Pavlovian dogs, and that, for the most part, if we're not aware of the fact that we need to continue to, make proactive choices that are going to make us happier, we might just grab that low-hanging fruit and that biscuit that's right in front of us, right? And so to me, I like to talk about these life hacks in terms of like tricking your dog brain, right? Tricking your unevolved brain into doing things that are good for you. So do you have anything in particular like that you would say you've kind of tricked your brain? Wants to do the opposite, but you've kind of tricked it, and now your brain's working for instead of against you?
I think one of the scariest and most powerful words we have is success. And so for me, I'm trying to find success through happiness, not happiness through success. And so
Love that.
That's just kind of my life hack, where it's just like, man, I need to dig deep and figure out my authentic self and figure out what makes me happy and why I am where I am. Where do I want to go? Who am I? And there's a lot of different things that I can ask and then move forward right there. And I need to figure out how to bring happiness as the common denominator and bring joy into my life with everything that I'm doing, and make it a prerequisite for everything that enters my life, or else I'm going to look back and just say, hey, I'm here, but why am I not happy? Why are these things around me not making me happy? Instead of just surrounding myself with that happiness, and then that will be my success.
Dude, I love that. And it's something I preach all the time, how, you're not going to find that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It doesn't exist. You're not going to, I always use the cliche. I got to come up with a different one because I always use this, but right now my brain's not working too well today. So I'll use the same one. Sipping on a pina colada. We have this like, oh, if I just make enough money, I can go to the beach, sip on a pina colada, not worry about it, right? But it's like, no, that's actually not how it works, because what's going to happen is it's going to be awesome for a week or two, maybe even less, and you're going to be like, I'm bored as heck. Now what? What's next? And if you don't have the right mindset, if you don't have the values and the things that are going to bring you towards real happiness versus that just chasing, that financial success, then you're just going to be like, oh, well, I just need to make more money. Now, and that's what so many people, they get caught in that failure loop, unfortunately. And they think that success will make them happy, when in reality, it's reversed. Real success is you need to find success through your happiness, not that happiness is going to be found as a result of your success.
Big time, man. It's one of the biggest things I picked up being overseas, where it feels like in America when I'm there, and it's not with everybody, and I don't like to totally generalize, but it's just like, all right, what's next? Next promotion, next promotion, next promotion, work hard. And then, we have most jobs, 2-3 weeks off a year. And then I come here and just spending time with my wife's family, man, they are hard workers. Some of them have more time off. They're spending so much more time together, just enjoying each other's company than what I'm used to back in the States. They don't have this constant, like, I need to get to the next level because that's going to be where I find my success, or that's what's going to make me happy. They're just happy here, still working hard, still pushing forward, but remembering what's important and keeping everything in perspective.
100. So, what I guess as we're wrapping up here, first off, I want to give you the opportunity to talk about where people can find your book. Again, your book is A New 2020 Vision. And I mean, maybe just tell us a little bit more about the book, how they can get it. And then just any final words, you want to leave us with. Tim Ferriss is one of my idols. He's got a great podcast, and he always ends with, and so I steal it. if you could put something on a billboard, if you could just like leave people with just one thing, one sentence, one phrase, what would it be?
Well, first, you can find the book at my website. So it's taylorrochestie.com. You can follow me on Instagram, trochestie. There's Twitter. We're going to have a great launch party. The book comes out February 22nd. If you sign up for the email, if you pre-order the book at all, we have 99-cent ebooks until the launch. I just want to make the message go as wide as I can and just have everybody have it, just in their pocket or on their laptops. And so if you just send in proof that you pre-ordered the thing, then we're going to have a really, really fun launch party. We're going to have a virtual book tour going on, and there's all that information on the website. Basically, we have a choice every single day, every single second. And I use this term positive filter. And if you're not positively filtering the world 100% of the time, then you're guest filtering the world. And we really have the opportunity every day to make our life better. And so I would just leave people with, if you pick this book up, I don't have the answer, kind of like what you're talking about, that pot at the end of the rainbow, but there's going to be sentences, there's going to be words, there's going to be chapters that really touch each person individually and inspire inspiration, which is a term I like to use, not just to be inspired, but to inspire inspiration from within. And so this book has something for everybody, especially in a time like this and coming off coronavirus and with all these question marks looking forward. What can I do? This book is a great start.
Love it, man. Love it. Thank you for sharing that. And your final piece that if you could there was one thing you could tell the world, what would it be?
Be kind, stay positive, keep listening to your podcasts and your messages and people like you, and just keep doing your thing. Be part of the positive train, man. There's a positive train going, and everybody needs to get on board.
I love it, man. Well, Taylor, I'm really glad that you were able to join us today. This was really fun, and we'll definitely keep in touch. I want to know about stuff you're working on. I love your vibe. I love your outlook. I love your mindset and your perception. So thank you, my man, for being on here.
Thanks, man. Keep the momentum going in your phrase. And I've been looking forward to this all week, man. You're an inspiration. I'm really happy to be here.
I appreciate you, bud. All right. Take care, man.
All right, man. See ya.
See you soon.
That's it for today's episode of the 5 Core Life podcast with Will Moore, founder of More Momentum. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have not already, please make sure to subscribe and follow the podcast wherever you are listening or watching. This so that you get notified when new episodes air every week. And if you've not joined the 5 Core Life Facebook group, I encourage you to join that and see what all of the fuss is about. There's some awesome content designed to get your momentum going, including a monthly giveaway to win a complimentary coaching call with the Will Moore. The Facebook group is currently the only place to get Will's dedicated attention on your 5 core journey. If you're feeling stuck or just want someone to cheer you on, then that is the place you need to be. There's nothing like a community of people on the same journey to get you fired up, kicking butt, and taking names. So come join us.
Get moving. Gain momentum. Join the movement. Join Emmett by going to moremomentum.com to take a free life evaluator quiz on where you currently stand in each of your 5 cores.